A bit too fast. Just seeing in the chat. So from there, we can read analog devices using the analog read function. What this does is it returns the value that it sees from the analog device, in this case, the rotary encoder. And if you open up Serial Monitor, you can see the raw data on its own. So this will show you the values, and this can range, I believe, from 0 to 500, if I got it right. And what we do in the setup is that we start our serial port, so that way we can communicate between the Arduino and computer. And then we set the value to the value retrieved from the rotary encoder and print it each loop. And from the serial plotter, we can see how it changes over time. Now we move on to the LCD. So the LCD uses the library U8G2, which can be added just by going to Sketch, include library, manage libraries, and then searching for UG82. That should just be the title right there. You click install in library, and after a few seconds, it should install into your computer, and there should be a installed bit of text right here. And that means now that it's on your computer, you can use it in your code. So in this top line, we tell the Arduino IDE to include the code from the library here. What this does is it sets up what type of screen we're using and to use high-speed I2C to communicate with the display. In the setup, all we need to do is tell the library to start the screen. And then from there, we use clear buffer to clear anything on the screen, so that way you don't get a jumble of characters. We set the font, which is the default one. And we use draw string to draw the string hello world at position 0, 10. And then send buffer sends that string to the display. And then from there, it just waits a second before running the loop again. And boom, you have hello world on the screen. But other than just displaying text, we can also display bitmaps using the draw XBMP function. The process of creating them is a bit involved for this workshop, but if you want to, you can go here to look at the process. And from here, what we do is we use the same stuff we've used before. We have this bit here. Now this will, in the actual code, will be a lot longer because it includes all the data of the image. But basically, whenever you generate the image, you copy the code from there into here. And then it'll take the image code, and using draw XBMP, it will draw that bitmap onto the screen. And in that process, you get something like this, where we have the code data. For looking at any other functions like draw lines and such, we have the entire library here. It's a bit complicated, but if you are more advanced, you could probably figure out what to do with it pretty easily. Along with this, we have a more advanced project, which is a Tamagotchi clone. Oh, sorry. And I screwed this up. Sorry for that. So what this will do is, if I can find the code, great, I did not prepare for that. Well, 1 second, I'm so sorry for this. I'm sorry for this. I'm gonna have to pull up the code. Okay, so if we go to GitHub and look at the code, we can see it includes a new library. This one is redundant. I forgot to add the code. And what this does is it allows us to communicate using I2C. And with this, we have a few bitmap images that will be used later in the code. And other than that, we have a few variables and all the stuff we've covered before. We have some pre-made functions to draw certain images on the screen that are used later in it. And from there, what it does is in the setup, it clears the screen, draws the title screen, and then it waits for you to press the button. Once you do, it will start the egg hatching process. And after 5 minutes or so, the egg will hatch, and then you'll see the little uwu face here. Sorry. And from there, it will change every 10 seconds to a different one. Okay, and some other helpful resources. This is the guide for the kit you can find on Seed Studio. And here's the link to the presentation in case you couldn't find it. Ola forgot to add her socials, but so Ola helped me with a lot of the slides and helping getting this done in time for code day, as that was a pretty difficult task. I built the code for the project you just saw and a few slides, and Joanna Folk came up with the idea for the previous project. Thanks to DigiKey for all the kits and helping us make this an amazing code day as always. And now let's do this up. If you have any questions, I can answer them. Okay. Okay. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. All right. I believe the earlier link should be the correct one, but let me get it quickly. Sorry.
Nick, a lot of students were asking if the slides will be.
Yeah, sir. 1 second, I'm getting the link to it. Okay, there it is. There's the link to the slides. You can look through all of it. And that also includes the link to the GitHub with all of the code. And any other of the resources that's included. Second. If anyone has any questions, just post them in chat. And if I don't lose my mind that time, I'll get to them. Does anybody have any questions, or in what ways your Arduino IDE, sorry, not working? Oh, sorry about that. This presentation was finalized before I got to the code fully. So just for either kit, use all the code is cross-compatible between the kits. I just didn't have the time to get to the advanced ones. What exe file is it showing? And hello world, yeah, I can show that again. Just give me a second. Okay, here's the result, and here is the code for it. So what it does is it loads the library, sets up the screen, and begins it. clears it out, font, and draws the string hello world and repeats that every second. If you need to look at any of the code, all of the examples featured here are also available in the GitHub, so that way you can copy the code and load it onto your kit as well. Did it properly screen share? 1 second. So screen share during the hello world? Okay. Wait, okay. Could you see it during, oh, okay. Let me pull it up, sorry. Can you see it, hopefully? I can't pull the chat. Screen is frozen. Again, sorry about the beginner code. That one, but all of the code on the GitHub and featured here runs on all of the, okay, I am bad at this. Okay, all of the code runs on any of the kits. That was just an idea that I forgot to edit out. Okay, so here's the hello world. Yes, which stress is building. Okay. Let me pull up the Q&A. The link for Windows, yeah, give me a second. All the links to download it, you just need to go to arduino.cc software, and then it will show all the download option links. And for Windows, click the one that says Win 7 or newer. Let me just, if you go to that link, it should download it to your computer. Sorry for missing this. It's I'm too stressed for this. Okay, so yeah, all the software is at the link Jonah posted, and I believe if you look at the Q&A, the link to the Windows one should be there. Are there any things that I have missed, or just any questions that anyone still has? If you have any questions, oh, yeah, 1 second. Let's hope this is screen sharing. Share. I'm at this point, I'm going to rely on notifications to tell me it's working. Okay, it should be screen sharing now. I'm going to pull up the live stream and hope it works. Okay, yeah, it looks like it's working. So the Hello World program for the LCD should look like this, and print out a little bit of text. If it isn't, make sure you're using this code. It's Hello World LCD.ino on the GitHub. And I don't think there should be any issues. Also, if your Arduino IDE throws any errors, You can enter those in chat and I can tell you the solution to them, at least most of them. 1 second. Okay, they do. The one about the shortcut, I think, shouldn't affect anything. I don't know. As long as it compiles correctly and uploads to it. For the screen sharing light, which file are you using? But yeah, the Arduino shortcut, as long as things upload to your board correctly, I think that's mostly just a Windows shortcut or whatever your system shortcut is, and it shouldn't affect too many things. By blink a lot, do you mean it's blinking really fast? The shortcut isn't found, or the library? Arduino.e. So it's saying the is it refusing to, is it like a warning or an error? Because if you're able to upload your code to the board, it shouldn't be too big of an issue for right now. Let me reference the code for a second. Wait, G2. I think you need to install, okay, for the person who has the issue with compilation, I think you just need to add the library, which using the, let me pull this up again, sorry. So going to Sketch, include library, and manage libraries, that should pull up a window. Search for U8G2 and a library of the same title as the one you're looking for. Unqualified ID before numeric constant mean. I'm not sure. For the person with the issue of unqualified ID before numeric constant, could you copy paste in the error you have? I haven't tested the online editor yet, but from what I heard, it seems like you need USB drivers for it to be able to program your board. So that might be an issue with it. Oh, no. But I just recommend, if you have a system that's compatible with it, I just recommend using the regular Arduino IDE because it's just going to be a lot more compatible and people will have more solutions to theirs. For the person who's having issues with it blinking really fast, are you using the one with, are you using the blink.ino from the GitHub or presentation? Sorry. The delay line at the end, what's the value inside it? I believe on the GitHub it should be titled blink.ino. Okay, well. Okay, look for the blink.ino. I think you might have the wrong file because there's the hello world underscore LCD from GitHub, and then there's the blink. I think you're looking for the blink.ino. See if that solves your issue. I'm not sure. For Arduino setup steps, I'd say go through, except most of the stuff there, I believe it's mostly just a matter of clicking next. If it asks about USB drivers, accept those just that way it can communicate with the chip that talks to your Arduino. Okay. If you're getting a error along the lines of no such file or directory, for the U8G2 library, make sure you have it installed. It should say installed in the card. And if so, it shouldn't throw an error. Yeah, and if it's highlighting it red, that also means it's having an issue with that include line. Just make sure you have the library installed. If the port section is grayed out, I'm not sure off the top of my head. Okay, to find the library, are you using the sketch include library manage libraries? So far, I know that macOS sometimes will need the driver for the chip on here. I haven't seen any issues. I don't think the ports would be gray. I just think they wouldn't. Yeah. If they're grayed out, I'm not sure. Are you talking about where I posted the presentation? Yeah, for the Silicon Labs driver link, you're looking for the driver that matches your OS, whether that's Windows, Mac OS, and such. But from that link, you go on downloads and then click the corresponding driver and install it, and that should solve your issues from what I'm seeing. If it doesn't, if it throws an error after you install that driver, that is the Arduino ID, paste it in here and I'll see if I can figure it out. If you're having an access is denied error, it's probably because that COM device isn't your board. It's probably something within the system. So I'd say, okay, look at the COM ports your IDE is showing whenever the board's plugged in. Unplug the board and see which COM port disappears. So let's say I have 4 COM ports listed: 1, 3, 5, and 7. And I unplug my board and COM 7 disappears. Then it's likely that my board is COM 7. If you do that and COM 3 disappears, I'm not sure what the issue could be. Maybe try clicking the reset button to the right of the yellow connectors on the board, and that should possibly clear up any errors you're having. Is not getting error in regards to the USB or the library. Sorry. Because if you're not getting an error with the library, it should be able to upload and you should see something on the board after a few seconds. But don't unplug it until the progress bar on the right bottom corner finishes, because that means it's uploading it to the board. are you using, which sketch are you using? Are you using the blink.ino or the hello world lcd.ino? Hello world lcd, is that the one you're using? When you first plugged in your board, okay, when you first plugged in your board, did it show anything? Because if it did, it should be okay. I'm not sure about the online IDE, but I'd say if it's refusing to install, it's worth taking a shot at it. But okay, where was I? Okay, if you're having issues, once your board finishes programming, use the little reset button right here. That'll just reset your board and it will clear up a lot of the issues sometimes. And that. Okay, so we're showing the late levels. Okay, for the person with the who had it working before and now it's black, have you already sent a program to it? Because if you have the reset button is the button right here, and once you press it, it'll restart the program. You should see if, okay, basically it just restarts the board, and if that isn't working for you, I'm not sure, maybe try re-uploading it. Wait, okay. Make sure that in the IDE, you're clicking the upload button, not the verify button. The verify button just makes sure that it won't cause any errors, but it does not actually send the code to your board. Okay, 1 second. The reset button should be right next to an LED. And if there isn't a teal or a lime LED on the main part of your board, like if you look here, there's this lime LED right next to it is the reset button. If you can find the reset button, but the LED isn't on, your board might not be plugged in all the way. So pushing the connector a bit, just don't use too much force, otherwise you might break it. And also make sure that the port you're using to plug it in can power other stuff like connecting to your phone, because that port also might not work. When if you click the reset button, did a red LED come on for a second? Okay, yeah. Whenever it does that, it means it resets it. So, which program are you using on the board? The blink.ino from the GitHub. Okay, if you're using it direct from the example library, it might not be set to the right pins. So that might be your issue. Okay, it's working now. Okay, well, make sure you use the examples including the GitHub because they're all correct for this board. Some of the examples from Arduino might not work. Are you talking about the hello world from the examples? So you're saying that the Arduino example is working, but the GitHub one isn't? 1 second. Let me quickly look at the code to make sure I haven't messed up anything. And the whenever you upload it isn't showing any errors, right? The blink code will always run as long as the board is powered, but whenever you reset it, it just basically runs the code again. So it's not much functional difference unless something miraculously goes wrong. Okay, so there's two buttons really close to each other whenever you're doing it. One is a little check mark. That is the verify button. If you hover over it for a second without actually clicking it, it'll say verify. That one, all it does is it just compiles the code, but it doesn't actually send it to your board. Okay, so you use the upload button and it's not showing anything. And just looking at the code you have in your IDE, does it more or less match the code in GitHub? Like, is it missing any of the curly brackets? Because that could cause issues. Make sure the title of the library is just U8G2 and it's by Oliver. And make sure it in that card it does have installed on it. One second, I'm just gonna pull up something. For the person who asked, what do the first two parameters mean? For which program? And if you're talking about the logo one, it basically just specifies the size of the image. But could you just tell me which program you're talking about? I haven't. Okay, for the person asking about the different U8 libraries, I haven't dived far enough into those to be able to properly answer that. If I were to say, as far as I'm aware, the code using these examples only works on the U8G2 library. But if you were to look at the documentation, you could probably rework it so that way it works with the U8X8 library. Okay. For the high I squared C line, it just means that that line there tells the library to use high speed I squared C, where basically it's faster than lower speed, and I squared C is just the communication standard it uses to communicate with the board. For the COM3 issue, so did you unplug the board and did COM3 disappear? or did it stay? Okay, so basically, let's say when my board is plugged in, I have a few COM ports. I don't know which one it is. What I would do is I look at the COM ports that are there when the board's plugged in. I unplug the board, and whichever COM ports are left are not my board. So I replug it in, and whichever COM port disappeared, that's the COM port you want to change it to. After running all the programs, you can edit the programs if you want, or you can make your own using the concepts. Most of it is if you want to use the display, that line for high speed I2C is what you want to keep, and the functions are what you carry. But yeah, if you want to make, once you're done with these programs, you can make your own. For that issue, you might want to install the Windows drivers from Silicon Labs. Let me see if we can find the link. With the Grove cables, if you want, you can order the Grove modules from DigiKey. Like in the advanced kits, you'll get this 2-button kit, and you use Grove cables to connect it to the board. But if you don't have any of those additional modules, you don't need to do anything with them because these are all pre-wired. No, you don't add the driver as a library. It's a separate program. Let me see if I can copy the link from Zoom. Okay, it does not want me to do that. 1 second. If you scroll up a bit, you should see a link at sillabs.com. That's the one you want to use. And if this, okay, from there, you're going to want to click on downloads and then look for the Windows download. You're going to wait for download and then just go through the normal install process. And that should fix your issue. If not, it could, okay, wait, yeah. It could be an issue with something else, but I'm not sure what. So I just say install the driver first and we can figure it out from there. Programs themselves, the zip. Let me look at the file first. So that way I don't give you bad information. In the meantime, I'm just going to help you. Okay, so yeah, once I'm just going to look for the software so that way I can give you the correct information. Okay, to stop running a program, the program itself has to have a thing to stop. But if you want to change out the program, you just re-upload something. And if you just want it to not be running it, you would just have to unplug it. But unless there's a programmed in stop state, it won't stop using something on the board. 1 second, I'm looking at the software. Yeah, unplugging it just means the chip's off, and when it doesn't have power, it can't exactly execute code. But unless there is a pre-written stop statement somewhere in the code, it won't stop on its own. What is this? Okay. Okay, which driver did you download from the site? Was it the Universal Windows driver or the VCP Windows driver? Okay, let me look at this file so that way I don't get anything wrong. Universal extract. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is right click on the file in your downloads folder, click extract all, and then click next. Click extract. After a few seconds, a new folder should pop up in your downloads folder named CP210X, Universal Windows Driver, and it should have an open folder instead of a zipped folder. From there, you should double click on that. And for most people running Windows, you should double click on the application called CP210X VCP installer _ X64. If you have an older system, like Windows XP, you might need the x86 one, but if you aren't sure which one to use, let me pull up. Go to settings and then okay, so if you're looking at the so if you're x64, what you're going to do is you're going to right click on the zip folder, click extract all. A new window should pop up asking you for the destination. You don't have to change anything, it should just autocomplete. Click the extract button. It'll take a few seconds, and then it should pop up a new window or a folder somewhere in your downloads folder under the same name, just without the .zip extension. And then you'll be looking at the list of files. Go to the CP210X VCP installer _ X64, and that's the one you're going to want to use, and then you should follow through what it needs to do after. It may ask for administrator privileges or ask to make changes. Click yes. It should be a verified publisher. And then from there, it should be pretty easy to install it. So are you saying, are you double clicking on it or are you right clicking on it? You're going to want to right click on it. Then a menu of a few things should pop up. And then you're going to click extract all. Oh, yeah, extract all. Q&A. If you're getting the low memory available, stability problem may occur. That's a warning, and that's just an issue with the library. It takes up a lot of the Arduino's memory. All of the examples you're looking at and most of the stuff you would be writing shouldn't cause any issues. But basically, it's just saying that you might want to look out for the amount of memory you're using. But for all of these examples, shouldn't have any issue with them. The chat. Also, it's okay. So by the installer, okay. I think you're in the zip folder. Go back to your downloads folder. Don't use the one with a zipper icon on the folder. Okay. In your downloads folder, do you have one folder named CP210X Universal Windows Driver, or two of them? Okay, what you're going to want to do is right-click on that folder, click Extract All, extract it, After a few seconds, a new folder should appear. It will have the same name, but instead of a folder with a zipper icon, it should just be a regular folder with a few things in it. You're going to want to double click on that, and it should build a few things. Double click the installer, and it should ask for Windows permissions. One second, I'm going to look through the code to see if I can find that. So, fatal error. Hello world. Are you running Hello World LCD or the Blink Dino? Oh, sorry. I think that might be an issue with one second. I'm going to look to see what the issue is. It looks to me like a library issue. Is the code inside your IDE the same as the one on GitHub? Okay, one second. There shouldn't be any issues from what I remember, but maybe it's a library thing. One second. Okay, I'm not sure what exactly that would be, but seems like, are you sure you have the U8 G2 library installed? That's okay. I just want to say, if you have any final questions, I want to wrap up soon. So put them in the chat or Q&A, and I'll get to as many before I have to go. One second. I'm going to check to make sure this program runs for me, because that seems like quite an odd error for it to have. Yeah, if you have questions in the Discord, I'll try and answer them for as long as I'm able to. Once you have the driver, if you see a new COM port, select that and see if it works to upload it. Well, basically, now that you've installed it, and if it installs successfully, go to Tools, basically look to the port menu, and if you see a new port, select that and try and upload it. If that works, then it should be the issue solved, but I'll see if it does. So you only have COM port 3. I'm not sure what the issue could be on that. Yeah, I'd say, since I want to get to wrap up about now, you can definitely ask questions in the help desk, in the Discord in general. I'll be sticking around the Discord for a bit to answer any questions you have. So yeah. All right. Hope this was helpful for everyone, and good luck with your kits. Again, I will be in the Discord if you have any issues. So post any of your errors there. There's also other mentors and other code day staff that can help you. And I'd say now, if you still have any issues, ask help desk. If you aren't encountering any issues, I'd say play around with your kits, see what you can make. There's plenty of tutorials on how to program Arduino if you want to expand your knowledge on YouTube. And I bet there's probably some videos about this kit in particular. You can also look at the slides. I will be posting that on the GitHub. We'll link to it on the GitHub in a second. So that way you can view it later. And you can go to the Seed Studio link for a very in-depth documentation about it. All right. Good luck with your kits, and hope you make something amazing.